director is the shittiest role in every company. Excuse my language. But you literally have to do everything well. You have to manage down, execution on top of it. You need to know all the things that your team is doing. You're not on that VP level where you have too many people to know that detail. So like everyone expects you to just like pop off every answer. You have like 1 million people you have to manage across with. Like there's just so many teams, both internal to your org and like related to it, and external to your org, especially on kind of more of like a platformy type team like personalization, where you have internal customers and you have people you work with to execute. And then you often have to manage up to the most number of folks with like the most managing up in the style and passion that they need. So it is this like singular moment in your career where you're just sort of like are in a bit of a communications meat grinder. A framework I think we've talked about in some of the content that I've used in the past is what we call AIM, audience intent message. And it's like, for a given audience, what intent do you have with them? And then how do you craft a message that achieves that intent for that audience? And it's really, really hard within organizations when you have a diverse audience, because a diverse audience means that you're like, I have to give the high level picture and I have to give the super detail. And those two things generally don't merge together. And it means I communicate both things badly. Which means that I think that you have to choose in certain situations who your audience is and not try and do both things at once, because then what you'll do is do both of them badly instead of one of them well. I have a tactic for you, which is the way that I would communicate to these like diverse audiences at Credit Karma. And we had one of our executives was like must know every detail, and one of our executives like didn't want to know any details. Is I would like frame basically for every document or every presentation like a very crisp and clear executive summary. And then like say it was an email, I would like literally sign it. So it would be like 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs, sign it. And then I would have a dotted line, and it was basically like all the detail that you could possibly want is below this. And I would explode out all of the detail. And then the people who wanted all of the detail would read every piece of the email and send me back these like super detailed responses. But the people who didn't would just like read the summary and move on. And the reason that separation was really valuable is because if you don't separate it, the people who think they're like trying to understand the strategy are going to like read everything, and they're gonna be like, oh, this person doesn't understand the strategy, and not realize that like literally you can separate those things. So like often it's useful for there to be like a very visual separation. And to a certain extent, like it's possible that when you put together those decks, you know, it's like sometimes you never get past the 3rd slide anyway. So making sure that the chief experience officer might get like all the information they need in the first 3 slides, but you can like dive into slide 22 if you need to. Or like when they get the deck, like people can flip through every detail they could possibly want, I think is often like a really good way to bifurcate that multi-audience scenario.